think back to a time when you got lucky, when you experienced serendipity. Is it possible that you could actually systematically become lucky? Or could you design serendipity? I think the answer is yes. And that is the topic of my mini TED Talk. So, this is the outline. The hook is actually that question, that opening. And I'll be talking about my go to story and my origin story as part of the introduction to this talk. And then the meat of this talk is the playbook. I'll be sharing how you could actually design serendipity. And the dismount is going to be a surprise. So you stay for the rest of the talk. So my go-to story is about it happened in a cacao farm somewhere in the Philippines. So it's a farm of this gentleman named Christopher Fredriga, and he collects seedlings from cacao from all over the Philippines. So he gave us a tour of his farm. It looks like this. And at the end of that tour, he made us try the chocolates that came from his farm. And there, I experienced something pivotal in my journey with cacao and chocolate. If you've seen the movie Ratatouille, there's this scene there at the climax of the film where this hard ass food critic Anton Ego tastes the ratatouille of that rat who's a chef for the first time. And then as it touches his palate, he is brought back to his childhood. And it changes him from that dour face, serious face. He suddenly, beams with joy. So I experienced that in that cacao farm, you know, when I tried these chocolates, particularly this one in the black um, packaging. I was brought back to my childhood when my grandmother would prepare drinking chocolate for us. I liked it so much that she even showed me the entire process from the harvesting to the preparing of the seeds, the drying them, roasting them, grinding them, and then preparing the drink itself. So I became sort of an expert in doing that myself, preparing that beverage. It turns out that the Philippines has a unique history related to cacao. We are one of the first countries outside of Mexico to receive the gift of cacao. So as early as the 1614, so we have had cacao in the country. So generations of Filipinos, grandmothers and grandsons have been enjoying drinking cacao for this is hundreds of years. No. So that eventually became a journey of bringing drinking chocolate to a city here in Cebu. So I started this company called Flow State. We brought drinking chocolate there, and it was crazy. Like I was even doing some chocolate tasting. I was sort of possessed by this. I don't know, some spirit of just wanting to bring drinking chocolate to our city. So here I'm hanging out with people I don't normally hang out with. These are like the wives of the tycoons of my city. So anyhow, it brought me to this whole adventure. So that happened because I said yes to serendipity. So another story I want to share is my origin story. So back in May of 2020, at the middle of the pandemic, I was here. I was here in the story because felt so powerless. You know, like like no other time in my life. I felt so powerless because I was locked down there. I was supposed to be this entrepreneur who could, who's the master of his faith, but there I was just a prisoner of this pandemic. But by March of 2021, I already led a a team of students and scientists all over the world to sequence SARS-CoV-2 for the first time, you know, enabled by an international volunteer team. So we raised funding. So this Rising Action raised funding. We built a team. We partnered with a local a lab here in the Philippines. We brought sequencers to them. We brought reagents to them. We organized trainings for them, and we made it happen. We changed the course of our own fates. We refused to be trapped by this pandemic. So those are my two stories. So what is the hidden common denominator there? So that is the topic of this TED Talk. Designing serendipity. I used designing serendipity for the Cacao adventure, and also bringing SARS-CoV-2 variant identification to a lab here in the Philippines. So how do you design serendipity? Okay, so there are three steps. First is to plant the seeds of serendipity. Second is to notice and nurture the sprouting of serendipity. And third is to harvest the fruits of serendipity. So since we have limited time, so I'll just share one tactic, one tool per step. Planting the seeds of serendipity. So the one of the best ways to do this is to increase your luck surface area. To increase your luck surface area, you simply have to do what you're passionate about and then talk about it. That's basically it. And other ways of saying this is working with the garage door open, working in public, learning in public. So this is one of the best visualizations of that idea I found. So let's take a look at it. So this is a lucky person. So that person does and tells. So you have a higher luck surface area to catch the luck that you know the world provides you. So that is one tactic in planting the seeds of serendipity. And second, noticing and nurturing the sprouting of serendipity. So the reason why I ended up there in the cacao farm is because I was experimenting with an idea. The idea came from this book by Liz Gilbert called Big Magic. The central idea of that book is that ideas are actually creatures. Ideas are living beings. They are from a different dimension, and their mission in life is to become manifested in this world. But for them to do that, they need a human partner. So when they see a human partner, they will propose to that partner. No? And and that is inspiration. When I'm sure you've experienced it. Like for instance, that flow state idea that came to me 4 a.m. It's just like, okay, this is the brand. This is what's gonna happen. And then all those other things like the meeting a guy at a cafe and then just saying yes to the serendipity there, and then that idea, following it, being the servant that will bring it to fruition here in this world. So it couldn't be literally true, but it works. You know, once you start treating ideas as persons, you will notice them more. You will respect them more, and you want you would want to serve them and bring them to reality. The third is harvesting the fruits of serendipity. And here, the tactic I'll share, the practice I'll share is the Slack inventory. And this one is pretty practical. You know, this will help you decide what you need to do to increase Slack in your life. Because without Slack, you could not get lucky. But if you have Slack, you are open to serendipities. So the question now is, how could you increase Slack and reduce tightness in your life? And so there are different categories here. And you simply ask yourself, what's the source of slack in terms of time? What's my source of tightness in terms of time? And how do we increase slack or reduce tightness? So with this, you will have an action plan to make yourself open to more serendipity. So that's the body. And now we'll go to the dismount. So in this dismount, I will cite a scientific finding, yeah, that based on science, only 1% of the things in the future, the good things in the future, are things you could plan for. And 99% are things that you couldn't plan for. So we spend so much time planning out the things that we could foresee. But most of the good things that come to us are things that we couldn't foresee. So we should have a playbook. We should have a playbook for managing, for maximizing the serendipities, the good luck, the good fortune from those things that we couldn't plan for. And so that is the playbook I am writing. So just go to, I got the domain name, designingserendipity.com. And we have a cover, a book cover. So there's an outline there. So this is part of my digital garden. So let's take a look at that. So, and there's also a sign up page there or sign up link for you to sign up to get updates on this book. And I invite you, yeah, to join me in this journey in creating this playbook because I want this to be part of how I live, and hopefully, I hope you also would like this to be part of how you will live your life.